Hello, my YouTube family and friends. I pray that everyone is having a beautiful, blessed Sunday in the mighty name of Jesus. And if you have not said it already, let's say it together. Thank you, Jesus, for another day. It is indeed a blessing to be alive, y'all. Yes, it is. Thank Him. Thank Jesus that you're alive. You are here to be in another day, to breathe in another day, and to help somebody else in another day. So that's a blessing. So I want to read Psalm 37, verse 7. And it reads, be still before the Lord and wait patiently for him. Do not fret when men succeed in their ways, when they carry out their wicked schemes. So again, that was Psalm 37, verse 7. So, of course, just be still before the Lord and wait patiently for him. Don't get in a hurry. Don't try to go ahead of him. He knows what's best for us. Just wait on him. That's all you can do. We need to do. But I wanted to just hop on here because I feel it in my spirit. Of course, we went to worship service today, and the Lord allows me to hear other women, not only from at church, but just people I work with, or people just around me. Not so much I work with, because a lot of people I work with, they're married, but just people I come in contact with, just randomly in a store or whatever, and we'll get to talking, and I'll get to witnessing to them or whatever. But it's always usually, around the same type of response. If they're single, they're looking, they always say, yeah, I haven't found Mr. Right yet, or I'm waiting on Mr. Right. But most of the time is I'm looking for him. But we're single ladies, we're not supposed to be looking for him. He who finds a wife finds a good thing. So he's gonna know us. Your husband that has been sent from heaven is gonna know you when he see you. Whenever he see you, he gonna know you. So we don't have to go looking for him. He gonna know us. He gonna see us. He gonna know us when he see us, me or you. So but I just wanted to share this video. It was in my spirit actually yesterday to share, but I was uploading some other videos, so I said, okay, Lord, I'm gonna get around to it. But I just can't understand sometimes, a lot of times, even on my mom's side of the family, and then not even just on her side of the family, but I've been around women just, when I was married, when my late husband was living, and, we were in our marriage and everything, but I had a few women on my mom's side, on my side of the family, my mom's side of the family, they were just seeming to be desperate. They was always looking for a certain type of guy, and they were looking for that certain type of guy so they could have sex with him. He got to be this height, he got to be 6 feet. He got to be, tall, dark, and handsome. That's what society tells us. That's what we got to be looking for. He got to be, he got to have a good job. He got to have a nice car, nice house, a nice apartment, wherever. He got to have a place to live, his own place. Handsome, all these smell, like the workout, nothing's wrong with none of that, but the reason that those standards a lot of times are so high is because the woman, it's a lust type thing. It ain't love, it's lust. And like I said, I've actually witnessed this firsthand. And I was in a place before I met my late husband. That's what I was looking for in a man, but I did want him to treat me right. Yes, I did. That's one thing. I didn't want no abuse or anything, but I did want, of course we all do, ladies. We want a nice looking man. It's easy on the eye. Of course we do, but I think back on that, and the Lord gave me, he gave me everything I prayed for, I asked for, but my late husband was short. So me and him had a side joke, and I said, sit down, shorty. We just had that, y'all, we just had that relationship, and we'll say, look, because what it was, our shortcomings, or so the world would say, you short, you this, you that, we would tease each other about it, and it was just all in joy. It was nothing when nobody was mad or nothing, but that's the type of marriage we had. That's the type of relationship we had. But and so I think I shared this before, but I'm gonna share it again. So when my son was born, my youngest son, he was, my parents were, I think they were meaning it in a bad way or a negative way, but I didn't pay it no mind. But they were like, because he, you know, as he became older, he started getting tall. So they were like, are you sure that's his son? You know, talking about my late husband. Are you sure that's your husband's son? And I'm like, what? Why would you even say that? You know, but they for whatever reason, they were forgetting that my biological father, he's like 6 foot and some inches. And then, you know, it's quite a few tall men on his side. So I'm like, the genes work both ways. You know, it ain't just about one side, you know, just on my mama's side. It was, I mean, on her side, it was on my father's side too. You know, it's all that plays together. But anyway, that was just a thing they would always, you know, try to call themselves saying that. And I'm like, why would you even joke about that? You know, of course that's his son. But the whole thing was, you know, why is he tall and his dad is short? That was the whole, you know, that was the whole big thing about that. But anyway, I just wanted to share that. But let me get back to the top of the message. So, you know, even with what because I wanted to share that to say this, you know, even when I was single and I was out and about fornicating and doing all that, you know, I had a friend in high school, and me and her both used to always say, we want a tall, dark, handsome man. You know, we want to, or he could be light skinned, whichever one. But he, you know, for whatever reason, we don't want no short guy. We want a tall guy, which we still ended up dating short guys. But that was just a thing. He gotta have this, he gotta have that. But we was not bringing anything to the table. But we wanted him to come with the full package. And but I just found that so ironic when I got married and the Lord sent me my late husband for those 21 years. He was short, but everything else, he fit everything else, all the other qualifications that I wanted him to have. God gave it to him, but you know, he was short. So anyway, I wanted to share that. But a lot of times, ladies, what we put such high standards on, you know, what we say we want, God said, but I'm gonna give you, this is who I have for you. And I've seen it on dating shows. I've seen it, I forget the name of the show. My daughter, she watches it, my older daughter. And sometimes I watch it with her. I think it's called Pop the Balloon or whatever it's called. But it's on YouTube. And I just, you know, I watch it because I'm like, wow, why are these ladies, you know, subjecting themselves to a man who, a lot of them is, you know, it's clear to see they just want to have sex with them. You know, they ain't looking for no marriage. They ain't looking for some of them ain't even looking for no type of relationship. They just want to have sex. It's lust. It ain't no love. It's lust. And it's, you know, it's so clear for me to see. I'm sure if you've ever watched it, you'll see what I see. You know, I'm like, and then, you know, again, he who finds a wife finds a good thing. So you going on a show, that goes for any of those shows. You know, I can't remember, The Bachelorette and The Bachelor. And yes, I did watch those back when they were on and stuff back years ago, because I don't watch them now. But I'm like, now I think back on that was just lust too. All of that stuff was lust. How are you going to find somebody that really care for you and really going to be committed to you through a show, which millions of people are viewing, and that man or the bachelor or the bachelorette, they kissing on all those men. The woman kissing on all those men, the man kissing on all those women. You know, just laying with them and feeling on them and doing all that nasty stuff with them. And who knows what else they doing when the cameras ain't rolling. And I'm like, so you tell me, you trying to find who? Who you trying to find on it through this show? Because you looking for your heart to be broken. That's what you're looking for. But and then I think they try to do the updates where they still together or whatever. But I'm like, you know, y'all, the only way you gonna find, and ladies, you ain't supposed to find him. He gonna find you. It's in the Bible. He who finds a wife finds a good thing. So the only way that's gonna work out is that you pray for him and then you wait. I just read it to you. You wait on Jesus to send you who he has for you. You know, you don't need to go looking. You don't need to go on no dating sites. You don't need to be trying to get matched up with nobody through no cousin and aunts and uncles and whoever. No blind dates or whatever. You don't need to do none of that. Just wait on Jesus, because you're setting yourself up for failure. And I want to share this because, and I love her dearly, I still do, but I used to tell my late husband all the time about my sister. I said, of course, she's grown up a lot in a lot of ways now, but I'm still continuing to pray for her. But I used to always tell her, I said, you know, I didn't want her to follow in the steps that I took, because she actually witnessed me doing that fornicating. I mean, she didn't witness it, but she knew that's what I was doing, and dating different guys, and not having no type of self-worth. I had no self-worth. I was just looking to find love in a man, and so, and I was not, of course, I was not waiting on the Lord. I didn't want to wait. I just wanted what I wanted. But, I noticed in her a lot of stuff that, that I used to do. Of course, this was when I was married then. But, I used to try not to be so harsh with my words. But I used to tell her, I said, the Lord got somebody for you, But she didn't want to hear that. She wanted what she wanted. And I remember there were quite a few times she would tell me, share with me, because I allowed myself to be open to her so she could, my sister, so she could talk to me. And I was a big sister, but, we weren't close or anything, and we still are not. But she, whenever we would be around each other, I said, how's it going with such and such, be somebody I knew she was talking to or in a relationship with. She's like, oh, and so, more and more, I think she felt like she could trust me. So, she would tell me different things. So I would give her advice, not judgmental, but I would really give her sound advice and say, yeah, just pray, ask the Lord, I tried to just do my best to steer her, correctly in that way. But y'all, it was, I remember she had mentioned to me, and I'm sharing this because, I was out of love wanting to help her. But, a lot of times people have to find out things their way, and they feel like, well, you did it. How you telling me, why you so in my face? You used to do it, But, some people, they can't get past that, what they saw you do, instead of saying, you know what, you trying to help me. Instead of having that type of attitude, they have the attitude where, well, what's she trying to come at me like that for? She did the same stuff I'm doing. So they stamp it and say, oh, it's okay, it's approved, But it's not, when people care enough to tell you, share with you what they did, and to go in depth about it and discussion about it, that's love. That's what I perceive as love. But I remember she would tell me, it was this one particular guy, she told me, said, he really liked her. He was opening doors, they go out, he opened doors for her, and he just really liked her. But I think he didn't, his looks, she didn't like the way he looked or whatever. So he was going to school, I want to say, I don't know if it was for an attorney or a doctor. Not that that matters, but what my point in sharing that, he was striving to become, something good, something great, somebody great. He was striving to be better and to do great things in the world. So I'm like, why is she not, and I can't remember if she showed me a picture of it or not, but I was just thinking to myself, why are you not, but then on the other hand, and it's been like this on a lot of women on my late husband's side that were single, and my mom, on my side as well. And I'm like, it's always the same, instead of wanting someone, praying for someone who's a nice young man or older young man, whatever the case is, and, wanting to, have something in life and wanting to, want to have a family and someone who truly loves you, they look for, we used to call it back in the day, roughneck. I think somebody made a song about it, a roughneck, and if you don't know what that means, that's somebody who cuss and fight and fuss and just keep up mess and don't want nothing out of life. They just walk around and they looking for some type of confrontation with somebody. They possibly could be a thief. They could be an abuser, physical, mental, that. And I was like, that seemed like that's what, she was attracted to. That's what quite a few women, that I, grew up around or, was around back in Tennessee, they didn't want nobody nice. They didn't want nobody, that was going to treat them good. It seemed like they looked over that man, and I'm like, and you expect, but there's a thing, y'all, ladies, you attract what you are, So if that's the type of person, or you okay with that, that's what you're going to attract. And so, of course, if I even got a whiff of when I was dating that somebody was, because one thing that the list had to be checked off. So, if you didn't have a job, or maybe if you didn't have a car, I'm like, I don't know about this. But I didn't disqualify him, when I was single because of those things. But I paid, my antennas was up high. They was up high. Because I'm like, wait a minute, why you ain't got no job? Why you ain't trying to I work, I got a car, I got my own place. So what's going on with you? So there was a little bit more, I was alert right there. I was alert. But yeah, I noticed that, and I'm like, what is that? And me and my late husband used to talk about that all the time, and he said, sometimes some people want somebody. He said some women want they want a man who they like that. They want somebody who gonna mistreat them. They want somebody who gonna talk to them in a kind of way. They don't want nobody that's gonna be good to them. And I said, why would you not want somebody who gonna why would you want somebody who's not gonna treat you right? Because I love love. I love being loved on and stuff. But he said no, it's women like that. He used to tell me that all the time. So I guess he had come in contact with women, some women when he was dating or whatever, young women. But I did notice that. I noticed that, y'all, with women in my family and on his side of the family who were single at that particular time, that, yeah, they turned their nose up to guys who were, and then if the guy wasn't easy on the eye, he just got disqualified. And I'm like, don't overlook, because there was this, my sister, and I could talk about it because I love her. So I told her this to her face. I told her, I said, and this been years ago, but I told her the guy came to me that really liked her, and he came to me and he told me, he said, I really like her. I really like your sister. And I said, oh, he was telling me this. And of course, that's where my late husband was living. And so I couldn't wait to go home and tell him. And my late husband said, that's not her type though. I said, I know. But yeah, he would have such long, because of course he went to my parents' church. And, and I even expressed to her, I said, he seemed like a nice guy. Now, he wasn't what I would say handsome, but he wasn't, he looked okay. But if I was single, he wouldn't be my type. But that's one thing I could say, y'all. When I was single, I didn't go around saying, oh, he ugly, because I looked past that. And I still do. I don't look so much, you better be careful when you're looking on the outside for appearances and, he got to be muscular. You better be careful with that. Because if that's your, that's what your qualification for a good man, you may be in for a big surprise. Because a lot of times, of course, what's that saying? Looks can be very deceiving. And just because I don't care how much he work out, I don't care how nice of a job he have, I don't care how much money he claimed to have in the bank, car he got, where he live, none of that. I don't care. Because you better make sure that he meets the qualifications of being a godly man. He meets the qualifications of being that he's meeting that one, that he loves God, the Almighty God in heaven. And so if he loves God, he gonna love you, and he gonna love the family that you all could possibly have. That's the main thing that you should be paying attention to. Not so much of how he look, not so much of all this materialistic stuff, because that stuff gonna fade away. But see, the love that he has for God and the love that he has for you, that's gonna last. So again, ladies, we can get so caught up in how somebody look, and he got to do this. He got to have perfect teeth. He can't have no missing teeth. He can't have this. He can't have that. But what about loving God? But see, what you've done, you disqualified him for all the things you should have. You've qualified him for things that don't even really matter, and then the things that should matter to you, you ain't even thought about those, So he automatically, you don't even want nothing to do with him. because you're like, well, he ugly, or he ain't handsome, so but see, that could be your husband. That could be the very one that God has for you. That could be the one. And that's what, like I said, when that young man told me that about my sister, I said, and it made me feel some type of way, because I was like, he must really like her, because he telling me her married sister got children. He coming to me telling me that, he told me that on the church parking lot that Sunday, and he said I like her, and he said, and he could tell, he was basically doing everything but saying, she don't want to have nothing to do with me. And she didn't, because at that time she was talking to someone who was never, she should have never even met. And he was a roughneck. And she wasted a lot of time with him, the guy that she should have left alone, and she should have been, But of course, you can't, I could not make her date that guy, or I couldn't make her, here, you call him and, y'all go on a date. She just didn't want to. That was not her type. But that made me feel, like I said, every time I would go over there, to visit with my parents' church, at my parents' church, he would make sure and it's like he was trying to talk to me, to express to me so I could say something to her. But I wanted to tell him, I can't make her like you. If she don't like you, she just don't like you like that. But I think she was cordial toward him and everything. But yeah, she was not interested in him. But like I said, he was wanting to be, he was getting involved in the church and everything. But y'all ladies, we just never know. Like I said, don't be so quick to overlook, because you could be overlooking your blessing. And like I said, I'm not saying go out here looking for no man. I'm saying, be open, be open, to something different. Be open to pray about it, and ask the Lord, is he the one? Is he the one? And like, I'm not dating or anything, but what I'm saying, when you see, someone approach you, a gentleman approaches you in that way, or I don't know how I don't know how it could happen, but be mindful of that and just say, Lord, you reveal to me if he's the one, And I'm not saying go jump in the bed with him. I'm talking about ask the Lord to guide you in that, to help you, so you will, have his blessings, and because he'll let you know. He'll let you know if that guy is for you or not. He'll let you know. But yeah, I just wanted to hop on here and share that, because for some reason, it's a lot of people that are mismatched. And what I mean by that, it's a lot of women that have just settled, laid it all down by the wayside, and they settled for somebody who they just had, initially had good sex with. And I'm coming from experience. And, when I was out there single, and you just say, okay, this the one, he the one, he's the one, this the winner. But it's not. You're losing. You're losing because you're wasting time with someone. You're unequally yoked, and everything that you have is not based on. It's not based on God's holy word. Unequally yoked. That man, that woman, that's not who God has for you. And yeah, you can say, well, they've been married 20, 30, 40, 50 years. I'm sure they have. But was that what God put? Did God place them together, or did they place themselves together? Now, I do believe that, as time goes on, and they, both of them get close to God and get in the Word, God will, God will come into that, that union. Of course He will. But I'm saying we just have to, why not seek Him first? Why not? Why not ask Him, is this the one you have for me? Or is this, why not go to Him? He know everything. You don't have to be out here stressing and looking for nobody, and wondering and pondering over it. God said, I know everything. I'm omnipotent. But that's where we mess up, ladies. You know, we out here trying to do it all on our own, and we always fail. It's always a fail. But quit, you know, let's open our eyes, ladies, and quit settling for just for somebody, a man that got, you know, that just settling for some pants and some, you know, you just looking for a man. That's what I'm trying to say. You just looking for a man, you know, that you can hook up with, or, you know, possibly hurt and get married to, or just have somebody who you can have on your side and say, I got me a man. But is that the man that God sent to you? Or is that the man you went looking for? Is that the man that you chased down? Is that the man that you jumped through, wrecked a marriage to steal? You know, let's evaluate this whole process, because like I said, when we will right or wrong, and we'll do it in a heartbeat. You know, because we want what we want, and we want it when we want it. You know. And, you know, there's a lot of people that say, well, you know, our marriage, we still together. You know, that's wonderful. It's wonderful. But if you go back to how everything started, did you put God first? Did you ask God? And I really do believe this, y'all, that that's why a lot of divorces occur. That's why a lot of the cheating happens. All of that stuff is from the pit of hell. And it's because those two people are unequally yoked. I really believe that with everything I have. They never went to God about that union. They just got married because it was good sex, or it was convenient. Whatever the case was, I don't know. You know, it could have been because of cheating, but they just got married, and it's okay. We're going to get married. We're together. And it started out beautiful. Oh, it started out so beautiful. But the middle part, and a lot of times the ending part, is ugly, because that marriage, nobody went to God and asked God for his blessings on that marriage. Nobody went to God and said, is this the one? Is she the one? Is he the one? Nobody did that. You know, we just take it upon ourselves, and, you know, we just going to get married. We're going to have this big old grand affair wedding. You know, he look good, I look good. We're going to have some good looking children, and we just go on like that. But it's so important. It's so very important to ask God for his blessings. Ask him. He want us to consult. He want us to, you know, seek him. Seek his face and say, is this who you have for me? You know, you don't have to figure out. You don't have to wonder and, I don't know if that. You don't even have to do any of that. He'll let you know. And I'm going to share this, and I'm going to get off of here. So I keep going back because it just came in my spirit. The man, I shared this way a while back, but the man at the church we attend, and he still go there, but he came to me, and nice young man. I don't have nothing against him. But what I do have against him is he lied to me, and he lied on Jesus, and Jesus is going to take care of him for that. So he going to take care of him. But he had found out, he had been talking to me and everything, and this go back to this last year. I think all of this happened last year. And because we've been there quite a few years now. But I would speak to him, and he'll, we'll just say, like, hey, how you doing? Doing good, And so then we ended up, in a real deep, there's one particular Sunday we just got in a real deep conversation because I was curious. I said, okay, he always speaking to me and trying to be in my face. So I was like, okay, well, I want to, I love talking. So we talked right after church ended, of course, and then we ended up talking in the parking lot. I think we stayed in the parking lot for almost an hour or so, or close to it. So we were just talking about, I was witnessing to him and asking him about his family, and he told me he had been married before, and this, that, and the other. His kids are grown, and I told him, my husband, late husband passed away. We moved here from Tennessee. Told him everything. We were both seemingly being, seemed like he's being honest with me as I was with him. And so then I think this was a different occasion, of course, but we got closer to my vehicle. That's when I had my SUV. And so we got closer to my car. And so, another church service had started. So we were still talking, and he was telling me, different things that he was having to go through. I'm back, y'all. of course, the little message popped up, storage full, so I had to go in and delete some videos I had uploaded. I always forget to do that, and then delete them from my delete it so it'll clear everything out. But anyway, I think what I was saying, the gentleman at the church, he was, I think it was so we were just, you know, just witnessing to each other, and you know, God is good, you know, and he blessing all of us, this, that, and the other. And so I think that Sunday he had asked me, did I want to go out to eat or something? So I was thinking to myself, I don't know you like that. Even though we just, you know, we're in worship service together, but I'm like, I don't think so. So I told him, I said, no. He said, have you had lunch yet? And I said, no, I haven't. I said, but I'm headed home to my family, my children. And I said, thank you, though, for the offer. So anyway, on another time at church, he came to me and he approached me and he said, and I'm sharing this, ladies, to let you know how persistent, how the enemy will attempt to use somebody to, you know, come at you. And that's why we got to be mindful. We got to stay in God's holy word. Now, back in the day, all of this that he was doing, trying, attempting, it would have worked. It would have worked real fast for me, because that's how quick and easy I was to look for love. That's how quick and easy it was to get me distracted. But no more. No, never again. But anyway, because I'm paying attention to everything you saying, and I'm paying attention to what you saying, how you saying it. So anyway, this was a different Sunday. So he came up to me, and I forget, we were talking about something prior to this, but he went on to say that the Lord told him that I was the one for him. And I said, really? And I said, you know, that sort of got under my skin a little bit, because I said, well, if he told you that, he would have told me as well. And I said, And he said, yeah, he told me that you was the one. And then he went on to say, and this one, the lust was coming out, seeping out, you know, because I was like, yeah, you lusted now. Because he was saying, I really, really like you. And I just want to take you out and show you a good time. And I said, well, I appreciate that. I appreciate the thought. But I'm you know, no thank you. No thank you. And so he gave me his number, tore it up, I ripped it up, because I wasn't interested. I was not interested. And I said, and I told him, I said, right now, I said, all the stuff that God has brought me through is bringing me through and will bring me through. I said, I just, you know, I'm not there right now. I said, I'm doing what I need to do to get closer to Jesus. Now, at that particular time, y'all, I was all over the place, making a bunch of bad decisions. And so on top of all of that, and I'm not, you know, I'm seeking the Lord's face. Now, on top of all of that, I'm going to be dating so I can get even further off track. No. I said, I said, no. I said, I got to stay focused. So he sort of looked at me like, wow, you know, like I could see his face like, she focused. But I really wasn't. But at that particular moment, I was. But yeah, he told me that, and I said, so that's what I'm saying, ladies. You know, a lot of times people will, if all else fails, you know, they gonna pull the Lord in on they mess. And so I said, no, you know, that didn't move me one bit. I said, if he told you that, he would have told me too. I said, because I got a relationship with him now. And I said, I read my word, I fast, I pray. And then I asked him, I said, do you fast? Do you pray? Do you read your word? And he's like, yeah, you know, he was saying yeah to everything, you know, just trying to. But I said, I said, no. So now, you know, we still speak to each other, and I hug him and ask him how, you know, you have a good week last week, and you know, how you doing, how you feeling, but now, I've shared this before. Now it's yes, ma'am, you know, and he's older than me, you know, so now that's an approach right there. He coming at me, you know, in that way, which that's fine, that's respect, so I accept it. But I'm like, wow, how did you know, it go from you trying to get at me and trying to take me out and wine and dine me and possibly sleep with me, to now I guess I'm your mom now, or I'm your auntie now, you know, I'm yes ma'am, it's yes ma'am now, but he older than me. So y'all, ladies, please be mindful, please be alert. You know, I can't say this enough. When I talk about this, I know it's for somebody to hear it and to, you know, just to be mindful, because It's so many tricks the enemy is using, people who are allowing him to use them. And it's men out here, ladies, they just want to sleep with you. Let's just be honest. And you probably, that's all you want to do. But it's danger in that. You know, you everybody's aiming for a good, lustful time, but it's consequences of that. You know, it's consequences. So a lot of these men are married and they lying and saying they're not. A lot of them are, they just downright, they evil, some of them. And they looking to do things to you that you ain't even imagine that they would try to do. So to avoid all of that, just stay clear. Steer clear of them. Stay in your word. I don't care how you say, I'm lonely, you know, I want to be with somebody. You got Jesus. You got Jesus. And He enough. He's enough. Quit going out here looking for something that God ain't never, approved for you. That man, it's some of y'all laying up with somebody right now, and it's fun. It's fun. It's enjoyable. It's all of that. But is that who God has for you? If not, you're wasting time. You're wasting time. So let's just be mindful. I'm just in a whole different place now. Like I said, I asked the Lord to take that away from me. I was idolizing marriage and, oh, Lord, I listened to all these James Ingram old songs. And I'm going to be honest with you, that's what I was doing. Listen to Babyface. And I was listening, y'all, I was just, I would just listen to that because I really love. When me and my late husband was here on earth, that's what we did. During COVID, we just listened to a bunch of old 80s and 90s love songs, and I loved it. Early, not really early 2000, but 80s, 70s, 80s, and 90s love music. And I don't listen to them as much as I used to, but I was so engrossed in that because that's, I just want to be married again. But the Lord said, you so focused on that, I need you to get back focused in my word. I told you that's going to happen, but right now you idolizing it, and that's not okay. So I said, okay, let me get it back in the right gear on Jesus. Right, that's the focus. So as always, I pray you always hear Jesus speaking through me and never me. I pray you've had a beautiful, blessed Sunday in the mighty name of Jesus. I love you, but remember, Jesus loves you so much more. The best is still yet to come for you and for me. God bless you. God keep you is my prayer. And I pray that you were able to bless somebody today. You are already blessed when Jesus woke you up this morning. Thank you all for subscribing, for listening, for comments, and thank you for everything. And I always pray that you hear and see Jesus in me and speak through me and in me, see Him in me and never me. And I pray that I'm a blessing to you all. You are always a blessing to me. And thank you all so much for the support and encouragement on this channel. It's greatly appreciated. This channel belongs to Jesus, and it's committed to Him. And I am too, and I pray you are too. So have a beautiful, blessed Sunday in the mighty name of Jesus. We're going to have a blessed, beautiful, peaceful, and productive work week. God is already there. Bye-bye.